Hey friends, it's Kevin with Better Bible Reading. Today we have a battle to the death. No, I'm just kidding. But we do have two of perhaps the most influential study Bibles available in the 21st century period. That is the Reformation Study Bible, published by Reformation Trust. This is part of R.C. Sproul's the late R.C. Sproul's labors, and represented and affiliated with Ligonier Ministries, and the ESV Study Bible published by Crossway, where the late J.I. Packer was the general editor of that. And so these two study Bibles are two of the most popular and two that I prize as the two most important study Bibles that I have in my own personal library. What I wanted to do is not necessarily an exhaustive head-to-head, but what I wanted to do was compare and contrast kind of what these two share in common, what makes them different. And if you're only going to get one, although I recommend you get both, but if you're only going to get one, these are maybe some things you should consider in terms of which one is quote-unquote better than the other. All right, let's start with translation. Now, it is unfair to do a full-fledged kind of head-to-head with these two in terms of translation, because obviously the ESV Study Bible is going to be the ESV. It's going to be the English Standard Version. The translation is in the name of the Study Bible, and so you're not going to find varieties of different translations in this. However, I will say this, by the way, if you don't know this, I did do separate reviews of each of these two Bibles, and so if you're interested in understanding them on their own terms, not necessarily in relation to each other, please go and check out those videos. But one thing I did mention with the Reformation Study Bible is that I bought this in the New King James Version instead of the English Standard Version because I already had this. And so I didn't want to have two ESV translation study Bibles. I wanted to have something that differentiated this even more from this one. And so it didn't feel like an either or. It could be more of a both and. I will say this though, at the time of this recording, which it's July of 2023, at least when I go to the Reformation Study Bible website itself, the editions that are available, whether it's the condensed version, whether it's the large, not large print, but the kind of full-size edition, whether it's the student edition, and whether you're talking hardcover, imitation leather, or genuine leather, the only translation options that I saw on the Reformation Study Bible website was the ESV. Now, you can go to something like Amazon and you can find the New King James Version as an option for the Reformation Study Bible. But it's worth noting that perhaps at one time, at least as I recall, you could pick either the ESV or the New King James for any of the editions that were available, whereas it looks like now, I don't know if there is a strict agreement between the Reformation Study Bible and the English Standard Version or what, but at least right now, it looks like if you're buying directly from them, the ESV is the only version you can get. So that's at least worth mentioning, but again, at least in my quick little browsing of the internet, you could still find the New King James Version of the Reformation Study Bible. So as for now, I will say this is available in more than one translation, so we won't necessarily do a head-to-head with the two different translations, okay? Now, one of the things that really sets these two Bibles apart, and something that is going to be a make or break for you, depending on what you want out of a study Bible, is what are the beliefs of the people who were writing the notes that I'm going to be reading? Of course, you want to be educated as a student. That's why you're getting a study Bible. That's why you don't just have a Bible without any notes. You want the notes, you want the perspective of scholars, you want to learn from men who have labored to study a particular book for perhaps decades of their lives. you don't have access, or have at least spent the time to find the access to all of the various secondary resources and tertiary resources that are available to help us understand the nuances of a book of the Bible. Maybe it's historical backdrop, maybe a discrepancy between manuscripts, all of those things that scholars have labored to the best of their ability, try to master, and then regurgitate for us in the study notes. You want that. And so you want to know where they land. You want to know where they're coming from. You don't want to be fed a spoonful of something that you wouldn't agree with. However, study Bibles, depending on what you want out of them, are either coming from a settled, more monolithic tradition, hence the Reformation Study Bible, or they're going to be coming from more of a broadly evangelical tradition, the ESV Study Bible. What you're going to find from here is that all of the notes provided are going to be in line with somebody who personally is convicted of one of the Reformation creeds and catechisms. So if you have somebody that's coming from a Dutch Reformed background, what they write is going to be in continuity with the Heidelberg Catechism, with the Belgian Confession, with the Canons of Dort. If you have somebody that's writing from a Presbyterian perspective, they're going to be adhering to the Westminster Standards. If you have somebody that's writing from a Reformed Baptist tradition, they're going to be writing in conviction to the London Baptist Confession. So I hope that's not necessarily a light bulb moment for you. Hopefully you understand that. If you're interested in the concept of creeds and confessions, I plan to do a video related to that in the near future. Depending on what time you watch this video, you might already find it in the video feed at this point. But nonetheless, that's what you get here. You get a settled conviction. You get something that, regardless of what particular continental tradition somebody comes from or denominational tradition, all of those are in adherence to Reformation theology. And so all of the notes found in here are from that. The ESV Study Bible is broadly evangelical. You could also say broadly Reformed or broadly Calvinistic. But the ESV Study Bible has people who come from more of a wide range of denominations and theological traditions. That doesn't necessarily mean that depending on the book that you're studying, one set of notes comes from a Calvinist, one set of notes comes from an Arminian, one set of notes comes from somebody that believes you can lose your salvation, the other set of notes comes from somebody that believes in the perseverance of the saints or something like that. It's not necessarily that polarized. But the ESV Study Bible provides a wide range of interpretive options. Now, I mentioned this in the video on the ESV Study Bible. You are going to find where the person who wrote those notes, you are going to find where they land. They're going to tell you. They're not going to keep things veiled in secret. But they are going to offer a wide range of traditional and historical interpretations to a particular passage. Now, you won't necessarily find that in the Reformation Study Bible. Like I said, it's more monolithic in that way. Whereas the ESV Study Bible presents a wide range of perspectives. And then the writer is going to tell you which one seems to be the best option in lieu of the evidence. That's something to consider. Now, that makes a huge bit of difference, because if you're reading a study Bible as somebody that is not well informed, somebody that does not yet have settled convictions in one way or another, this is going to be your better bet, because you're going to be presented with a range of things that are going to help steer you in one direction or the other. If you're somebody that does have settled convictions, if you're somebody that is distinctly Presbyterian or Dutch Reformed, or you're a Reformed Baptist, or even an Anglican or something like that, but tends and drifts more towards the Reformed heritage more than the Church of England as it is today, then you're going to appreciate the Reformation Study Bible because it's going to give you a rich history and tradition of interpretive perspectives that come from that. And so it's vacuum sealed. Maybe we could put it that way if that doesn't sound too crazy. So depending on what you want out of a study Bible, in my opinion, this is better for the reason that I like to get a range of perspectives and then draw my own conclusions. However, not everyone wants that out of a study Bible. And when I first started reading the ESV, I had no particular conviction in terms of what denomination I belonged to or what my theology was. I didn't even know what a creed or a confession was. The ESV was very helpful in helping me solidify and work through things that I had not yet worked through. Whereas now that I am by conviction of the Bible and the history of the church, I am a Presbyterian, and so the Reformation Study Bible is going to give me more of what I want out of the study notes. I'm going to be able to sift through some of the things that are in here and get something that's more refined in here, or more reformed, maybe I should use that word. But again, I don't think you got to go either or. I think you should get both of them. But that is something to keep in mind in terms of what you want out of a study Bible. In terms of something that both Bibles have, the ESV at the end of it presents a range of articles. Let's try to get to them here. A range of articles. And the Reformation Study Bible has a range of articles. In my opinion, the articles from the Reformation Study Bible are better than the articles in the ESV Study Bible. These are not bad at all in the ESV Study Bible. However, in terms of readability, in terms of just fine-tuning and solidifying things, in my opinion, the articles found in the Reformation Study Bible are better. I highly doubt you're somebody that is buying a study Bible because of the articles that are found in the back. However, maybe some of you are, and so that's maybe worth noting. Let's talk about something really quick that may not be all that apparent. As I look at these, now I have not done the research of checking out the dimensions and details found on the sales pages of each. But as I just look at these two, it looks like the font size is a little bit bigger in the Reformation Study Bible than it is in the ESV. In terms of the notes, they're either the same, or perhaps the Reformation Study Bible is maybe 1 point larger than what you have in the ESV Study Bible. Now, let's also flip over to a very helpful and typical example of what you want out of your study notes. In Exodus, mentioned this in the particular reviews of each. The ESV not only has full color charts and graphs and illustrations on the bottom compared to the Reformation Study Bible that only has black and white all throughout. But maybe just the fact that, as you can see here, I'm having a hard time finding a page that has an illustration on the bottom. That's something that really brings up the point I'm trying to make, and that is that the ESV blows the Reformation Study Bible out of the water in terms of full color illustrations, number one, and number two, the repetitive nature or the surplus of illustrations that you can find on pages. Now I'm going to Exodus here, and so of course with the tabernacle and the priesthood and all of that, you're going to find a lot of illustrations. So even here, like the high priest's garments. The ESV Study Bible. Now, of course, these illustrations doesn't mean that that's exactly what it looked like. These are illustrations. These are guesses as to what things actually looked like in that time. Whereas the Reformation Study Bible doesn't even try to make a guess. They don't even have those things in here. So those same passages that we just looked at in the ESV Study Bible, there's no illustrations whatsoever. And even here, it's worth noting that Exodus 38, for example, there's not even any notes on the bottom. And then on this page, there's only one short little thing of notes here in chapter 39. By way of comparison, Exodus 38, 39. There's not a whole lot of notes, but there are more notes in the ESV Study Bible compared to the Reformation Study Bible. So that's another thing that I think kind of emphasizes why this one excels in that category compared to the Reformation Study Bible. I think one last point that I can make, they're both tied in terms of both of them have a Bible reading plan in the back. Both of them have an index, glossary, those kind of things. The Reformation Study Bible, I mentioned this already in the review of this Bible, but the creeds and confessions being in this, I think are a huge, I don't want to say selling point, but I'll say it for lack of a better phrase. That's a huge selling point for me, because it means as a Presbyterian, I don't have to carry around my copy of the Westminster Standards, or if you're in the Dutch Reformed tradition, you don't have to carry around your three forms of unity, your Heidelberg Catechism, Belgic Confession, Canons of Dort. You don't have to carry those around. If you're a Reformed Baptist, you don't have to carry around your 1689 London Baptist Confession. They're all in here, and I really appreciate that because it's ecumenical and distinctly Reformed in that way. It's not just the Westminster Standards if you're a Presbyterian, it's the others that are part of that Reformed tradition. The ESV Study Bible does not have that. However, I will say that Crossway, who is the publisher of the English Standard Version, Crossway does have a Bible, although it's not the Study Bible. Crossway does have an ESV Bible that includes the creeds and confessions in there. And also, I should say that it's not just the Reformed confessions, it's also the Apostles' Creed, the Nicene Creed, and all of that. Chalcedon's definition of faith. So it's not just the creeds and confessions, it's the earlier ecumenical early church creeds as well. But the Crossway's publication of the ESV, I can't recall in this video, at least I can't recall what the name of the title is, but it is something like the ESV with creeds and confessions or something. You can easily find it if you do a web search. But just so you know, they do care about that, but that's not something you'll find in the Study Bible itself. So we did not cover all of the wide range of topics that you would want to find in a head-to-head exhaustive comparison. But I think the point that I want to stress is if I only had to choose one of the two, I would choose this one. But I don't think that you have to choose one of the two. And nowadays, if you don't care so much about the binding, neither of these, by the way, are genuine leather. This is imitation leather. It's held up a lot better than this imitation leather. But if you don't care about the binding itself, you can get a hardcover of these or an imitation leather version, and they're very inexpensive. And I think if you want to do, at least in my assessment, what is the best approach, I would get an ESV Study Bible, and I would get a New King James Reformation Study Bible, so that you have two different translations, critical text, received text with notes on the majority text, and so you have different manuscript interactions between the two. Study notes are distinctly Reformed. Study notes are moderately Reformed, but also broadly evangelical. A comparison of different views, more linear or more monolithic in views, more illustrations in full color, less illustrations, and the ones that are in here are in black and white. Slightly larger text size compared to this. But again, both of them are very well done. Both of them are well worth adding to your library. And so I hope that this at least gives you a taste of what to understand in terms of the comparison between the two. And I hope that this really gets you excited. If you don't already have a copy of either of these, you need to get a copy of both of them. Add them to your library. Appreciate the work and the labors that have been done by the men who have brought us the helpful, insightful, and concise study notes in both of these study Bibles. And may the Lord bless your endeavors to love and hide His Word in your hearts. Well, thanks for watching this. This has been Kevin Morris with Better Bible Reading. If you want more resources, please head on over to betterbiblereading.com. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.